You ever see someone walk into a room so smug, so sure they've won, that you almost feel bad knowing they're about to get destroyed? That was her. Madison, my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife. And she wasn't alone. She walked into the courtroom like it was her coronation, head high, lips painted blood red, heels clicking like a metronome of arrogance. And beside her, a man I recognized from blurry photos and the back of a pickup truck in my nightmares. His name was Blake, her affair partner, the guy she thought was her ticket out of our marriage and into something younger, wilder, and dumber. She had no idea I invited his wife to the courtroom. But before we get to that moment, to the gasp that silenced the courtroom, let me rewind. Let me tell you what led to this theater of betrayal. It started 6 months ago. I'd just gotten home from a 12-hour shift at the fire department. Boots off, back aching, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. Madison was on the couch, scrolling. She barely looked up. "You're late," she mumbled. I remember blinking at her. Yeah, there was a 4-car pileup on I-70. I texted. She didn't respond, just kept scrolling. Now, this wasn't unusual. We'd grown distant, sure, but something about that night stuck with me. Not what she said, but how she said it. Like she was irritated I came home at all. From that point on, I started noticing the little things. Her perfume changed. New lingerie tags in the trash. Tags, not the actual items. She had a second phone suddenly for work. She started going out with Claire for marketing more often than Claire herself probably knew. One night, I followed her. She said she was going to dinner with her team. I waited 5 minutes, then slipped into my car and followed her Uber. I felt like an idiot, like some jealous teen stalking his girlfriend. But when her car pulled into that motel on 41st, the hourly one with flickering red lights and curtains that never moved, I stopped feeling stupid. I started feeling sick. I waited. 43 minutes later, she walked out laughing, arm in arm with him. Tall, tanned, the kind of guy who probably said bro a lot and wore sunglasses indoors. That was the moment my marriage died. But I didn't tell her I knew. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed a plan. And I needed to know who the hell this guy was. Turns out, Blake was a gym trainer. Classic. He'd met Madison during her Pilates phase. And here's the twist. He was married. To a woman named Camille. A woman who had no idea her husband was screwing his client while she was at home raising their twin boys. So I reached out to her. Carefully. Kindly. I showed her the photos. The texts I'd intercepted from Madison's cloud backup. She cried. I listened. Then we made a plan. Which brings us back to today. The courtroom was buzzing. Madison whispered something to Blake and giggled like a teenager sneaking vodka into prom. Her lawyer straightened his tie and gave me a quick, smug glance like you're about to get wiped, pal. And then the judge called the first witness. My client would like to bring a character witness to the stand, my attorney said. Mrs. Camille Hayes. Madison blinked. Blake's smile faltered. Then Camille walked in. Heels sharp, posture perfect, eyes burning. She didn't even glance at her husband. She looked straight at Madison and smiled. I watched as Madison's face shifted, from confusion to recognition to pale horror. And that's where I'll leave you for now. Because what happened next? It made the courtroom explode. Camille took the stand with the poise of someone who had spent the last 2 weeks turning heartbreak into purpose. The court officer swore her in, but she didn't need the oath to tell the truth. She was already burning with it. My lawyer gave her the floor. Mrs. Hayes, can you tell the court how you know the man sitting beside the defendant? Camille didn't flinch. That man is my husband. The silence that followed was suffocating. Madison's hand jerked away from Blake's like it was on fire. Blake shifted in his seat, suddenly very aware of the judge's eyes, the stenographer's fingers, the entire damn courtroom watching him squirm. And can you tell the court how long you've known about the affair between your husband and the defendant? Camille leaned forward slightly. 3 months. I found out from Mr. Carter here. She nodded at me. He reached out to me with photos, videos, timestamps. Proof. Madison tried to interject. Your Honor, this is irrelevant. The judge raised his hand. You'll have your turn, Mrs. Carter. Camille didn't stop. I confronted Blake the night I got the evidence. He admitted everything. The motel on 41st, the weekend business trips, even the little gifts he bought her. With our joint account, by the way. Madison's jaw tightened. He told me you were separated. Camille finally turned to her. And you believe that? Even when he showed up with matching tan lines from a family vacation. Madison looked away, her face flushed red, Not from shame, but fury. I sat there, watching the whole thing unfold, trying not to let the storm behind my ribs break through my expression. I wasn't here for revenge. I was here for justice. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel damn good. Blake stood up suddenly. Your Honor, I didn't know this was, I thought. Sit down, the judge said flatly. The rest of the hearing blurred. The lawyer tried to pivot, to regain ground, but the damage was done. Madison had brought her affair into the courtroom like a trophy, thinking she'd flaunt her new relationship while kicking dirt on my name. But she had no idea I had a landmine buried under her designer heels. When the judge finally called recess, Madison stormed out, dragging Blake by the sleeve. I waited. I wanted her to look at me, to say something, anything. But she avoided my eyes, just like she'd avoided the truth for months. Outside the courtroom, Camille walked up to me. You didn't have to include me, she said quietly. I know, I replied. But you deserve to know what kind of man you were married to. Just like I needed the court to know what kind of woman I married. She gave me a tight smile. Thank you for not staying silent. After she walked away, I sat on the bench outside the courtroom and stared at the ceiling for a long time. Everything felt surreal. The testimony, the look on Madison's face, the way Blake shrunk 2 inches shorter just from shame. But under all that, something deeper stirred. Not satisfaction, not relief, just a raw, aching emptiness. The kind that comes after you realize the person you once loved, the one you built a future with, was capable of tearing your life to shreds while laughing through it. I didn't cry. Not there. Not then. But inside, a storm was growing. One that would tear through every memory, every lie, every late-night whisper I once believed in. And I wasn't done yet. That night after court, I didn't go home. I couldn't. The house didn't feel like mine anymore. It hadn't for months, maybe longer. I checked into a cheap motel across town. The irony didn't escape me. Same flickering lights, same hollow walls, just a different room and no betrayal behind the door this time. I lay there in silence, staring at the ceiling, replaying Camille's words, Blake's twitching jaw, Madison's panicked eyes. It all felt surreal, like I'd been watching someone else's life unravel from the front row. But the truth was, I let it unravel. I gave her every chance. I worked extra shifts. I planned anniversary trips she forgot. I bought her that damn gold necklace she wanted just because she had a bad day. And every time she drifted further away, I told myself it was a phase. Work stress. Hormones. Something fixable. But it wasn't stress. It wasn't work. It was Blake. And it was her. Because Blake didn't trick her. He didn't force her into that motel room. She chose him, over and over. And each time, she came home to me, smiling like nothing happened. I woke up the next morning with the weight of everything still pressing down on my chest. My phone buzzed. A message from Madison. We need to talk. No apology. No explanation. Just entitlement. I didn't reply. By noon, she showed up at my motel. I opened the door, and there she was. Arms crossed, hair pulled back in that tight, sharp ponytail she wore when she was gearing up for war. No tears. No guilt. Just fire. So that's what this was about, she snapped. Dragging her into our divorce. I stared at her. You brought him into our marriage. Oh, please, she scoffed. Don't act like you were perfect. You were never home. You cared more about your job than me. I was saving lives, Madison. Not screwing my clients in a parking lot. She flinched at that, just for a second. You don't get it. I felt invisible. You stopped seeing me. Because you stopped being you, I shot back. You turned into someone I didn't recognize. Cold. Distant. Cruel. And I kept trying to fix it, thinking it was my fault. She rolled her eyes. So what? Now you're the victim. I laughed bitterly. Yeah, I guess I am. We stood there for a moment, the silence between us heavier than anything we'd said. She looked around the motel room like she was disgusted. You're really staying here? Better here than under the same roof as you. She let out a short, sharp breath. You're being dramatic. You humiliated me in court, Madison. You paraded him in like some prize. You thought you'd win, make me look like the bitter husband, and walk away with half my pension. Her lips curled. I still might. I stepped closer. No, you won't. Not after Camille's testimony. Not after the judge sees the rest of the evidence I have. She narrowed her eyes. You wouldn't dare. I already did. For the first time since this all began, I saw something real flicker in her expression. Not anger, not arrogance. Fear. I didn't say anything else. I just closed the door. She didn't knock again. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because it was over, it wasn't, but because I finally stopped pretending the woman I loved still existed. She didn't. All that was left now was the reckoning. The next morning, I met with my lawyer. He had the face of a man who'd seen 1,000 broken marriages, but even he raised his eyebrows when I handed him the last flash drive. "There's more?" he asked. "There's always more," I muttered. The drive contained screenshots from Madison's cloud backup, a full export of her hidden messaging app, and a recorded phone call she had with Blake, where she joked about how easy it would be to bleed me dry and walk away with a smile. She didn't know I had access to her iPad. She never changed the password. Guess she didn't think she had to. "Do you want to settle?" my lawyer asked. I shook my head. "No. She started this in public. We'll end it in public." Later that week, we were back in court. Madison walked in wearing a white blouse like that would make her look innocent. Blake was nowhere to be seen. I figured Camille gave him something better to do, like watching his kids while she met with a divorce attorney. Madison sat 2 rows ahead of me. She didn't look back once. The judge took the bench. We started with the financials. She'd filed for spousal support, of course. Claimed she couldn't maintain her standard of living without my income. Said she sacrificed her career to build a home. Said I owed her for the years she supported me. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to introduce additional evidence into the record." The judge nodded. The screens lit up. First, the messages. Dozens of them. Her words, not mine. Laughing about lying to me. Mocking me. Joking about how Blake was a real man who didn't bore her with hero stories and burnt coffee breath. She squirmed. Whispers spread across the courtroom like wildfire. Then came the video. Her voice, clearly recorded. "I just need him to sign the papers and transfer the house." After that, I couldn't care less if he drops dead in that fire truck. Gasps. One of the jurors, older woman, wedding band still glinting, visibly recoiled. Madison stood up. "This is illegal. He invaded my privacy." The judge cut her off. "Mrs. Carter, sit down. You gave implied consent when you synced devices with your husband's shared network. These messages and calls are admissible." She sat, but the venom in her eyes could have burned holes through me. I didn't care. The final nail came when my lawyer read Blake's official statement. He'd flipped the second Camille threatened full custody. He admitted the affair. Said Madison pursued him. Said she promised him half of whatever she got in the divorce if he played along in court. It was written, signed, notarized. The judge leaned back, exhaled long and slow. "Mrs. Carter," he said, "based on the evidence presented, not only is your claim for spousal support denied, but this court finds strong grounds for misconduct and deceit. Any remaining shared assets will be awarded to the plaintiff." That was it. She stood, shaking, red in the face. "You smug little coward," she hissed as she walked past me. I didn't respond, didn't flinch. I just looked through her like she wasn't even real anymore. Because she wasn't. She was just a mask I used to love, and the face underneath was never mine to begin with. After the verdict, I didn't celebrate. There was no victory dance, no champagne, no Facebook announcement. I just walked out of that courtroom into the daylight, breathing like a man who'd been underwater too long. The sun felt foreign on my skin. The air too quiet. A marriage isn't just love and promises. It's layers, memories, little inside jokes, birthday notes tucked in jackets. That crack in the hallway tile you both ignored for 3 years. When it ends, it doesn't just snap, it shatters. And each shard still cuts for a while. I went back to the house the next day, not to move back in, but to pack what was mine. I didn't bring friends. No truck. Just silence. The front door still creaked like it always did. Her keys were still on the hook. The faint smell of her perfume lingered in the hallway. Everything looked untouched, but everything felt wrong. I walked room to room, collecting fragments of my old life. My books, my dad's watch, the mug from our honeymoon. She'd chipped it, but kept using it anyway. There were photos still on the wall. Us smiling, frozen in time. Lies on glossy paper. I took them down one by one. Not angrily. Just done. Upstairs, I found a drawer full of notes I wrote her over the years. Stuff she'd saved. Stuff that meant something once. I didn't take them. I left them there, like a museum exhibit for a dead relationship. Then I found something that stopped me cold, a folder in her office drawer. Inside were job listings, apartment tours, even a prenup draft she'd never shown me. Dated months before I ever suspected anything. So the affair wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. A whole damn plan. It made sense now. The coldness, the fake fights, the way she kept asking when I'd renew the home insurance in my name only. She wasn't cheating because she was lost. She was climbing, using me like a rung on her ladder. I left the folder where I found it. Before I walked out, I stopped in the doorway. Took one last look. I don't know what I expected to feel. Rage? Relief? Regret? What I felt was tired. The kind of tired that settles in your bones and doesn't leave. As I locked the door behind me, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I hope you're proud of yourself. She's a wreck. She loved you, even if she made mistakes. No name. No face. Just that. I stared at the screen, then replied. She didn't love me. She loved what I gave her. There's a difference. Then I blocked the number. Later that evening, I sat on a park bench, watching a dad push his kid on a swing. The kid laughed, free and light, no weight on his shoulders. And I realized something. I'd survived. Maybe not unscarred. Maybe not whole. But I was still here. And she was just a lesson now. A brutal, necessary one. But a lesson all the same. 2 weeks passed. No calls. No messages. Just silence. The kind that doesn't feel peaceful, but loaded, like the calm before another hit. I kept waiting for her to do something dramatic. She always did. Madison never knew how to lose quietly. Then it came. A letter. Handwritten. Delivered to my new place by courier. She didn't even bother to put it in an envelope. Just folded and stapled at the corner like some high school note. It started with, "You humiliated me. That wasn't fair." No apology. No ownership. Just the same twisted victim narrative she'd always clung to. She said I ruined her chance at real happiness, and that I weaponized her mistakes. She asked if I ever once thought about how she felt walking into that courtroom, only to be ambushed by the wife of the man she trusted. Trusted. That word stuck in my teeth like something rotten. She ended the letter with, "You might have won the courtroom, but you lost me forever." I read it 3 times. Then I laughed, because losing her wasn't a loss. It was a release, like shaking off a parasite that kept sucking me dry and blaming me for being tired. I threw the letter into the sink, lit a match, and let it burn until the paper curled into black ash. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. What I felt was deeper, a strange blend of clarity and freedom. Madison had been a storm in my life for so long, I forgot what stillness even felt like. Now, I could hear my own thoughts again. That weekend, I met Camille for coffee. Not for anything romantic, just closure. We were both bruised by the same hurricane. She looked lighter, happier, wore her hair down, told me Blake had moved out, and she was filing for full custody. She even smiled when she said it. We talked for 2 hours. Laughed, even. About things only people who've been lied to that deeply can laugh about. Before we left, she looked at me and said, "You deserved better." I nodded. "You too." And for the first time since this whole thing started, I believed it. Not as some mantra to survive, but as a fact. I drove home in silence. No music. Just the hum of the tires and the open road ahead. I didn't think about Madison. I didn't wonder what she was doing, or who she was doing it with. She was the past. And for the first time, I wasn't stuck in it. A month after the final hearing, the divorce was finalized. Clean split, legally, anyway. Emotionally, it was more like cutting out a bullet. The damage was done, but at least it was out. The house was mine. So was my pension. She walked away with her bags, her bitterness, and that tight little frown she wore like lipstick. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to. People asked me what happened. Friends, family, co-workers. I told them the truth, just not all of it. Not the details. Not the hotel rooms, or the secret phones, or the way her eyes used to shift when she lied. I told them enough. She cheated, I'd say. She lied. Now she's gone. Simple. Final. Honest. But inside, I carried more than that. I carried the weight of everything she'd tried to erase. The birthdays I remembered when she didn't. The times I stood in the kitchen reheating dinner she never came home to eat. The way I used to whisper, "I love you," while she stared at her phone under the blanket. That part takes longer to let go. But I did. Bit by bit, day by day, I built my peace from the wreckage. I fixed the tile in the hallway she always ignored. I painted the guest room blue, just because I liked the color. I started sleeping with the window open again. Then one evening, I got an invitation, a barbecue with some guys from the station. I almost said no. I'd been saying no a lot lately, but something in me said go. So I did. That night, I laughed harder than I had in years. Somewhere between the ribs and the cheap beer, I caught myself looking around. No mask, no tension, no pretending. Just me, showing up, finally whole again. And I realized, Madison didn't break me. She tried. God, did she try? But what she shattered wasn't the man I am. It was the illusion I'd built around her. The pedestal I'd placed her on. The fairy tale I forced myself to believe while she rewrote the story behind my back. She didn't ruin my life. She freed me from the lie I was too loyal to leave. If you're reading this, if you've been where I've been, betrayed, gutted, standing in the ashes of something you swore would last, listen to me. Let it burn. Let the truth rise from the smoke, no matter how much it hurts. Let the lies die. Let them go. And then, rebuild. Not for revenge. Not to prove anything. Just to be you again. Because no one, not even the person you loved most, gets to decide your worth. That's yours. Always was.